Hey, folks, happy Thursday. Welcome back to Advisory. Today, we are going to be wrapping up our conversation about healthy relationships. We may still talk about certain things regarding relationships, but this will be the last time that we actually focus in on dating relationships and how to be healthy in them. And again, remember that all of the things that we're going to talk about can apply also to any other close relationship that you have, meaning friends or family as well. Every healthy relationship goes through some sort of conflict. Every kind of relationship goes through some sort of conflict because a relationship is made up of two people. It's important to note that conflict here means verbal disagreements or arguments. It's very normal to have those things. We're not talking about if it escalates beyond that, and I will have a moment where I talk about that again. But people disagree, and everyone has the right to their own opinions. In a healthy relationship, people can communicate effectively to resolve the conflict. Remember how last week we talked about that communication is key. And if you can communicate well with the person with whom you are in a relationship, then you can do just about anything well. And when conflicts can get resolved successfully, the people in conflict understand each other better and the relationship becomes healthier and more mature. People don't think about this part because you assume that a healthy couple should never fight and that an unhealthy couple is fighting all the time. The truth is actually somewhere in the middle. In fact, if two people in a close relationship never argued, that might actually be more concerning. That might be a sign that people's opinions are not being adequately expressed. And if they fight too much, then it could be the sign that the two people should not be together. But if you are in a healthy relationship and you are seeking to resolve conflict in a healthy way, these are some of the tips to do just that. Number one is set boundaries. If you want to know more about what personal boundaries are and how to set those in a relationship for yourself, you can go back and look at the video that I made last week over just boundaries. But when it comes to conflict, it's important to consider a different set of boundaries. For instance, what are the boundaries of how you are going to argue? Remember that boundaries are all about respect, and that even in an argument, even when two people are disagreeing, each person still deserves the respect of the other. Your boundaries matter even in arguments. And so if your partner is cursing at you or escalating verbally or physically, that needs to stop. You can walk away. You can call a temporary timeout to where you can both cool off and then come back to talk about the conflict when you're a little bit more level-headed. Number two, find the real issue. All this means is to make sure that what you are arguing about is what is actually going on. For instance, it may be that you are arguing with your partner about, why didn't you text me back the other day? It may not be about the actual texting, but maybe that person is feeling a little bit neglected or insecure, and that is really what's going on underneath the conflict about texting. As much as you can, try to get to the heart of the matter to figure out what is really going on. And that's very difficult to do. It comes with time and trust. Number three, agree to disagree. Sometimes if you can't resolve an issue, it's best to drop it, especially if it's not something that really is important. Focus on what is important to the relationship. And if you can't agree on what you both think are important things, then maybe you're not compatible with each other and it's time to move on. You can't agree on every single little thing, so focus on just the things that matter. Number four, compromise when possible. It may be easier said than done to reach a compromise between two people, but it is a major part of conflict resolution and any successful, healthy relationship. Maybe if you're going out to eat with someone you're dating or your friends, they want to go eat Chinese food and you want to eat Mexican food. Well, maybe if they really want to eat Chinese food this time, you can compromise and say, okay, we'll eat Chinese food this time, and next time we eat out, we're going to get some fajitas. And number five, consider everything. Oh, wow. Consider everything, huh?
Oh, cool, Mr. Hall. Yeah, I'll just go ahead and consider, what's that everything?
All I mean by this is to broaden your perspective and consider multiple possibilities in the middle of a conflict. When we're in conflict, especially if we feel like we are right, it can be very easy to just dig our heels in and fight until we win or feel like we've won. But in a healthy conflict, you have to consider multiple different things. Is this issue really important? Does it change how we feel about each other? If I compromise in this conflict, am I compromising my own beliefs and morals? Also consider the other person in the conflict. What are their perspectives? What is their point of view? If they are getting really upset, why are they getting so unusually upset? Are there any other factors outside of the relationship that are contributing to the conflict in an unhealthy way? Taking a moment to get out of your emotions, out of your own head, and try to consider as many possibilities as you can help you understand the other person, understand yourself better, and can help the conflict resolve peacefully. You might be seeing these tips and thinking to yourself, okay, great, but what if those don't work? What if I try everything? I consider all the possibilities. What if I try to compromise as much as I can? What if I really try to listen to them and still we keep arguing and still we're in conflict? That may be a sign that it's time to let go. And that can be very difficult, but it's also a very important part of figuring out who you are, what you deserve, and what you want in a relationship. It's also important to note that these tips only really work in a healthy relationship. If you find yourself in an unhealthy relationship, these tips need to be taken with a grain of salt because your partner may not respond well to some of these tips. So please be careful if you find yourself in a position like that. Remember that while conflict is normal, arguments should not turn into personal attacks. Neither partner should try to tear the other down in order to win the argument. If you can't express yourself without fear of retaliation, or if the other person tries to control or manipulate you while you're in conflict, you may be experiencing abuse. Okay, to wrap up our conversation about healthy relationships over the last couple of weeks, we're going to do an activity where I'm going to give you a set of scenarios and you have to organize each scenario into its proper place. The three categories are healthy, unhealthy, and abusive, and you can either work independently or with your entire class or another partner to figure out which scenario goes with which category. Teachers, I have sent you the key to this chart to where it tells you the answers. I hope you enjoy that little activity. I hope you use your knowledge well and that it helps you remember the differences between healthy, unhealthy, and abusive relationships. That's all from me for today. Be good to yourself and others, and I'll see you real soon.